Hey everyone, we've had such an important question in today about aggression, aggressive behaviour. I'll read it out. In a recent podcast, you encouraged us to gravitate towards our discomfort, get curious about it rather than flee from it. I tend to be a conflict avoider. For example, I avoid my husband when his weather is stormy. Although there are swells and troughs, his baseline aggression is high. Even as I write this, I'm trying to be aware of my own projections around it. His irritation is often directed at our children, and when I don't join him in his gripes, he feels betrayed and unsupported. If I enjoy time with them that is light and unencumbered, he seems resentful or jealous. When I try to soften towards him, he hardens. I see that we're both stuck in a story of this is not how things should be. He wants our family to be more in line with his expectations. I want him to love us and himself for who we are. Yet do I love him for who he is? I do love his essence, the loving person I sometimes glimpse behind the armour. But I don't love the aggravation and accusation. Over the years, I've become braver about trying to communicate with him. These attempts usually result in him getting defensive and me feeling sad and resigned. I don't feel my happiness relies on this, but I'm so sad that we can't seem to share happiness together. Where are my blind spots here? Oh, it's a tremendously important question, this one, because if there's one question I think that we need to have present really in every single conversation about reality is through a conversation about what's real, about there being no self, are we in fact sidestepping dealing with something that is out of alignment with the love and peace and freedom that we are? For me, the sort of watch out, the continuous watch out is would you say this to an inmate of a concentration camp? Would you say this to a child who's being neglected or abused? So when we say things like there is no self, there is no other, nothing's real, it's all a dream, it's just your thinking, it's just my thinking, would we actually go up to someone who is the victim of harm, of violence from another being, and pretend it's not happening because it doesn't fit with our nice spiritual blah blah language? Would we really do that? And that for me is the watch out, is the continuous watch out. Are we spiritualizing away a situation that is harmful, that is not acceptable, that needs action? And so when a letter comes in about aggression, about accusations, about someone who is hard to live with, who makes us uneasy, who we have to tiptoe around, all the alert needs to go here. Like what really? Let's get very clear that we're not trying to override this just because it doesn't fit in with our nice non-dual exploration. Okay, so that's the first thing. So the second thing is that when we're in a situation in which we cannot escape, so going back to the prisoners imprisoned, and their only way of surviving was to do what they were told to do or they would be shot. So that was the choice being made by the system. It's this, comply with whatever the orders are, whatever the regime is, or death. That's the literal choice that they were faced. And what we will find is that in every situation, the system is making the choice that is optimum for whatever is the ongoing reality of that moment, whether actually real or perceived to be real. So there's a choice being made all the time. And when we're not literally imprisoned, you know, we might be working somewhere with a boss who's a bully. We might, you know, as in this case, we might have a partner who's aggressive, or we might be a child living at home with violent parents. It sounds harsh and it sounds victim blaming, but stay with it, because ultimately it's freedom. When we see the choice that's being made, when we acknowledge the choice, so for the prisoners, comply or death. For me, say working with a bullying boss, put up with the bullying or find another job, and that might not look possible. There might be real restrictions. So I'm dealing with the bullying. But when I know that it's somehow, even though I feel restricted, I feel that I don't actually have a choice is being made. And this is really important to see. So because it brings a transparency. We might not even have seen the choice really, but when there's that level of transparency, my partner is aggressive, but I am staying here for these reasons. Or I'm not tackling him. I'm not blanking it with very serious consequences when someone is aggressive towards me for these reasons, because it doesn't make sense for me to do so because of this. And when we bring that out into the open, then maybe it's only then that there's actually the chance to see this sort of scales and measures things, this balance of what is going on here. What are we sacrificing on the one hand for this? And this sounds harsh and victim blaming, I know, but when we do see that, and when there's an ownership of that situation, because all the other alternatives as they appear aren't as viable, aren't as are worse. Only then do we enter into this situation with full, what I say, no self-accountability, full accountability for the situation. And the end of resistance to it, because we've chosen this. And I know this is it's so hard to see, and people watching this might feel offended and confronted by it, but it is freedom to be in a situation with full accountability, full choice. And essentially what we're saying in this situation is this man is aggressive, and I'm choosing to live with that aggression because of this. And this is powerful, because then we're not caught in a battle, a fight with reality, which is where we're stuck. That's where we're really trapped, when we're in this reality, but we're fighting with it, and it shouldn't be like this, and all our effort and energy is going into resisting how someone is. But when we say I'm choosing this, and because I'm choosing it, I'm not fighting it, I'm not resisting it, I'm actively present in it. And the irony is, when we're actively present, without resistance, without the fight, without the exhaustion of arguing with what is, then we're clear. And then our voice says, and this is the irony, even though I'm choosing this situation, like I actively am staying in it because of these reasons why, which are worse, that are the alternative. Now I can say, don't talk to me like that. Don't look at me like that. Don't accuse me of that when you know I haven't done that. Then our voice comes, because it's the voice of presence. It's the voice of reality. It's a voice that is true. It's our own accountability. He doesn't have to, this is the irony again, he doesn't have to be different. Do you see this? It's really subtle. He doesn't have to, we're not wasting energy thinking he should be different but he's not different. And at the same time, in each situation, we can deal directly with that behavior and say, do not speak to me like that. And have actual consequences, have actual actions that we take that remove ourselves and our children away from someone who is being aggressive. Because why would we be with someone who's aggressive when it's so counter to the freedom and the love, the peace that we know we are in that moment because we're present? We have it all so back to front. When we resist reality, we fight reality, we don't take accountability, we put all blame on someone else. And not at all saying that this is what the listener's doing, not at all. But when all of us, me included, do that, we're trapped. It's that maintains the status quo. There's zero chink of light in that. It's just ongoing repetition. So this is very different from me denying it's happening. It's very different from saying there's no self, there's no other. It's very different from saying this is just my thinking. It's active presence, we could say. It's active recognition of a system, recognition of choices, recognition of accountability, recognition of reality, and in that space, response. In reality, response from presence. Yeah, there's so much in this, and I'm so grateful for that question. Yeah, I'll leave it there because I've spoken a long time now, but I hope that helps somewhat, and I think we'll follow up with this because it's so important. This is where everything changes. This is where we become the place where aggression ends. Yeah, and that's all of our role. That's all our purposes. Yeah, to come back to what's true, to what we are, to transparency, to accountability, to presence, and that's where aggression ends in ourselves and others. Yeah. Thank you. Big love to you. Thanks.